Have you ever felt the adrenaline of starting something new only to hit a wall? Ever wonder why some entrepreneurs seem unstoppable, why others, just as passionate, fail behind? Hey there, I'm Daniel Ramsey, CEO of My Outdesk, and if you're the one of countless entrepreneurs feeling stuck in the loop of starting but not finishing, dreaming but not executing, then today we're gonna break that cycle. You know, every time we think of great minds, we imagine perfection. But let's take a step back. Albert Einstein, often painted as the genius of our time, struggled in school. His teachers thought he was lazy and he was often daydreaming. He was believed to have ADD. Then there's Thomas Edison, the man behind the light bulb. Did you know that he made 1,000 unsuccessful attempts before he got it right? He was famously quoted, "I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was invented with 1,000 steps." Talk about focus and perseverance. And we can't forget Steve Jobs. Brilliant, absolutely, but he too faced his own challenges, getting fired from Apple, the very company that he started, only to eventually come back and change the world and become the largest company by market capitalization. As entrepreneurs, it's crucial to not only recognize our strengths, but equally as important is to understand our weaknesses. Knowing yourself is the beginning of wisdom. Aristotle wrote that. It's really important that we break down these different fundamental business building blocks and explain exactly what they are because they're ultra important. And I want you to think through, like, am I an expert at this or am I not an expert at this? Okay, so first is revenue. Revenue is like the air that you breathe. Literally, if you can grow revenue through sales and marketing, this is the most important thing to being an alive human or an alive business. Really super important. Growing revenue is everything in business. And if you can do that, you can survive. Revenue cleans up a lot of mistakes. If you're growing revenue and you're making mistakes in other parts of the business, this is the way to move forward. It is the way to survive. It's a really cool building block. It's really important. Next is operations. Now, operations is actually delivering on your service or product. Think revenue is making promises to customers. Operations is actually delivering on those promises with a high level of quality and service. This is what it is. So think of all the things you need to do in order to sell your product or service to your customers. Next, people leadership. This is kind of your org chart, thinking through, who do I need to win? What position can I put them in? What is this person really great at? And then putting them in the right position. And then strategizing about the future of what the business needs. Like today is today, and in 3 years, who do I need on my team to win? That's people and leadership. That's a really important thing about building a company. In fact, turnover, I like to say, is the enemy of scale. So when you're good at people leadership, you can put the right people in place and grow and scale. The next one is vision. Now, this is important because think about it like a car. You need to get all the right people on the bus. That's people leadership. And then you need to say where you're going and why you're going there. So that's vision. Like, what's my model? What are we trying to impact in the world? Who needs to be in the room with us? This is the vision of building a business. And you can have a great business with no vision, and those businesses just don't seem to ever succeed. The last, and this is really important, I left it as last because a lot of entrepreneurs lack this skill, but business analysis. Now, this is your KPIs. These are your financial models. These are understanding your competitors and the landscape and actually being a threat in your industry or in your local market to your competitors. So business analysis, understanding your numbers, and really driving revenue through an understanding of your KPIs and what your business is accomplishing. This is really an important thing. These are the 5 different fundamental building blocks of every business everywhere in the world. As Aristotle said, knowing thyself is the beginning of all wisdom. And business is a collection of people and leadership. And so you have to know what your strengths and your weaknesses are in order to move your business forward. Psychology gives us a really good framework for measuring competence and incompetence. I'm going to go over this real quick. This triangle that's on the screen at the bottom is unconscious incompetence. And basically in that world, you have the wrong intuition and you're just messing about the world and making mistakes. The next level is you're actually consciously incompetent, meaning you've done the work, but it's the wrong analysis and you know it. The next level of competency is actually conscious competence, meaning you're doing the work and you have the right analysis. You have to think it through, but eventually you're going to make the right decision. The last and the highest level of competency is unconscious competence. And what that means is who you are being gives you the right outcome. You have the right intuition and it's flawless and easy to get to. You know people who have that highest level, unconscious competence. They're just good and they don't even know why they're good. They just are good. Now, what I would like you to do is go back to those foundational building blocks that we just talked about and score yourself. At the top of the pyramid, give yourself a 1. At the bottom, a 4. Now look at these different areas inside your business to determine where and who you need. Where do you need help and who do you need on your team so you can grow and scale your business? So the most important thing for you to know is these business foundational blocks. They're important, but they're important in different phases of a business as you're growing and scaling. And if you've listened to any of my videos, we've talked about 1 million, 10 million, 50 million, and 100 million as these kind of milestones as you're building a business. And here's what's crazy. At each of those milestones, the percentage of matter to these foundational building blocks really shift, meaning, in the beginning, revenue really matters. But as you grow revenue, let's say you get to $2 or $3 million a year, guess what? Delivering on your promises actually matters. So operations becomes a bigger focus point as you're growing and scaling to get from the $2-3 million a year to $10 million. And then people leadership, after you cross the $10 million, becomes more of a focus because you figured out revenue, you figured out operations, and now who's on your team actually matters just as much as driving revenue. So these things shift. And the important thing as a business owner is that you have a guide through your journey of growing revenue and you continuously are saying, am I the right person to drive revenue right now? Am I the right person to drive operations right now? And every single revenue milestone, 1, 10, 50, 100, it shifts. The people that you need on your team are different. The person that you have to be as the entrepreneur is different. And this is just simply the case. And this is what stops most entrepreneurs from growing and scaling. They hit a plateau and then they won't do the self-analysis. They won't go, hey, what does my business need? Who do I need to be? Where am I failing? They won't take that moment, like Aristotle said, and self-reflect. It's really important that we don't do this work in a vacuum. Meaning, if I think I'm great at sales, that's great. And what I want to do is find a peer group, a mentor, and a coach to validate my thinking. This is the most important thing that we need to do as entrepreneurs is we need to have an analysis, come up with a hypothesis, and then have some third-party reflection back into what I think is real so that you can actually make moves based on what you know, what people are in your trusted circle know. So the next part of this process is socializing your self-analysis. So you went through, you looked at the different business building foundational blocks, and you actually self-rated, and now you want to share them with a peer group, with a mentor, with a coach, so that they can validate this information with you. They can actually agree or disagree. And what that does is it gives you the confidence and the solid footing to make moves and make investments. This is a big deal for most entrepreneurs. They know they need change, they know what they need to do, and yet something holds them back. So what I'm providing to you is the formula to take action. So you've done the self-work, you've done the analysis, you've shared it with your peers groups, you've actually socialized it. Now you can make moves. Now you can risk capital. Now you can risk your time. Now you can go into execution mode and really win in business. What I want you to know is this isn't difficult. It's blocking and tackling. It's identifying the biggest challenges in yourself, and therefore it's reflected in your business. The issues and challenges in your business is the work that you're unwilling to do right now, today. And so this framework can actually help you illuminate what your next steps are so you can move forward and grow and scale your business.